run an extra sprint or whatever it was. Wade's one of those guys where if you look at him, he's going to give it all he has, and it kind of makes you want to do the same thing. So he is one of the toughest guys that I've ever had the ability to coach. So with that said, it kind of got us into a situation. Okay, everybody knows Wade. Wade loves to run anytime possible. He ended up getting beat up a little bit in one of the games, and to the point where he could barely breathe, and it would have shut most people down. And for you guys that know Wade, that's not an option. He was not going to sit out. He did everything possible to make sure he was ready for the game. But the reason I'm saying the story, one of the funniest things about it is we always ask him to slide. Wade, just slide. Wade, slide. He'd laugh. No, I'm not sliding. I'm getting extra yards. And in this game, when he could barely breathe, he slid, and he looked up, and I was on the sidelines. He said, "See, I told you I could do it, Coach." And we all kind of laughed. But really, Wade he's truly going to be missed. He was somebody that would make plays when things would break down. And like I said, those are special guys. He actually, I got some stats here for him, what he finished, and kind of to be proud of. He finished 65% of his passes, so that was the best completion in St. Joe history, and that is our quarterback, always will be our quarterback. Wait.
Wrote mine down, unlike these unprepared. First off, I want to start by thanking all my teammates. The most memorable part of my 4 years here was going to the season, off-season, and practices with all the buddies that I made through the seasons. I want to kind of name a few specific players and tell a few stories of things that happened here. The first person I want to thank is actually my backup quarterback while I was here, Nick Foss. I want to start off with him because he's helped me more on the field than anyone else here really knows. As most of you who watch me play know, I do not hang my hat on fundamentals and technique. I play more off of instinct. I run around quite a bit. Nick is very smart and was the first player I would always talk to when I came off the field during games and on practice. He was always there to help me figure out what was going on. He's helped me countless times in practice and in the film room with the cerebral part of the game. He would tell me what he saw. Oftentimes I'd come off, put the headset on. I was actually talking to Nick, who was in the press box in my junior year. So without a guy like him, I wouldn't have been able to be successful playing my last 2 years of quarterback. The second teammate I want to thank, who's not here, is Fonzo. Fonzo's from my area. He lives in the town across from me. He always kept me motivated and focused. I spent a lot of time throwing extra routes with Fonzo. We'd stay after, go at night, and just throw different routes, one-on-ones with me and him. He ended up breaking his leg going into our senior year, so I wasn't able to throw to him. But even during the season when he couldn't actually play, he would hobble to the back of the end zone for me every pregame, and I would throw to him the same way we did the year before. So stuff like that from Fonzo really helped me. Next, it's another guy who really helped me with the cerebral part of the game, Brian Collins. He's the center. He's probably one of the smartest football players I've ever known. He's like I said, my center my entire career here. He helped me with a lot of the protections and in-game checks. I ran around a lot, but I would have ran a lot more if it wasn't for Brian. He figured out if I didn't know what to do, I would literally just go up to the line of scrimmage and ask him what to do. A lot of times it seemed like I was calling an audible. I wasn't. I was asking Brian what I needed to call. One memorable thing I can remember at practice, Coach, they gave me I did have the ability to audible. I saw a look, I wasn't sure what to do, so I just walked up to Brian, who was still holding on to the ball, and I asked him, "What do you think about an inside zone here?" Which is a run play. He looked back at me with his hand still on the ball, and he said, "Thank you. I was hoping you would check it." We ended up scoring on that play. Instances like that made playing the position much easier for me. On to Jose, Woody, and Blake. All three of these receivers are key to anything I did on the field. There wasn't a down during a game. I wasn't trying to find a way to throw the football. because I knew if I didn't throw it, I was going to run it. If I left the pocket, I was going to find a way to throw for them. I know it can be challenging to play receiver with a quarterback like me. Running around, it's hard to run a route and not knowing what I'm going to do. I appreciate their 100% effort in blocking for me when I did run, and I appreciate them working with me when I was in the scramble. I appreciate you guys having my back no matter what I did behind the line of scrimmage. To Braxton, Kobe, and Mike, my running backs when I was here. Back to the protection. Thank you again for saving me from getting blindsided countless times. When everything else backfired, I didn't ask Brian for whatever reason. I thought I knew what I was doing. I probably didn't. These guys have saved me more times than I can tell you. There's also many times when all three of these players showed a lot of selflessness. I got to run the ball quite a bit on design run plays as well, and these guys, instead of complaining, did all they could to block for me and help me get the most out of every time I ran the ball, so I thank them for that. As everybody can see, although I touched the ball every play at the quarterback, much more was happening behind the line of scrimmage. I had a lot of help from almost everyone on the offensive side of the ball, including everyone I mentioned and everyone I didn't get to mention. Nothing I accomplished would have been done without the guys on the entire offense and the coaching staff. To Gavin, probably my best friend off of the field, he actually made every single PAT. He kicked this year, which is a struggle we had the year before, especially when we lived together. He has to come back home to me yelling at him. But it was always cool to see. One of the coolest things I'll ever remember is every time we scored and I ran off the field, Gavin was always running on. We tried not to talk to each other. Kickers were really mental. I'm not trying to talk to him, but he came on and made every single one this year. The next people I want to thank, Drew Strom, who's not here, Larlin, Jake West, Dave, and all the other members of the support staff. They don't get much praise or thanks for what they do, but without them, I wouldn't have been able to go through a daily practice. For example, Larlin every day had all the balls ready on the field, ready to go. Before games, I had to pick out which 6 balls I wanted to go for. He had them all laid out for me after every Thursday practice, and I would go in there and pick which ones I wanted. He'd mark them down for me, and I'd be good to go. All those guys have all our equipment ready, and they really do a lot to make practice easier. Next, I want to thank Alice. She's over here, like Coach David talked about. She's in the hub. She does everything for the food. She makes almost all of our food for all the players on the road trips. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of sandwiches, a lot of packaging. She does a lot for us, and I'll never forget everything she's done. And I know my teammates are also very appreciative of everything she's done. Next, I'd like to thank Allison, who's my fiance. We're actually getting married in 2 months from Monday. She came to all my home games and had the job of nursing me after all the games. Like they had talked about, I had written down, I'm not a big fan of sliding. And because of my stupidity on that end, I ended up getting demolished by men the size of Joel on a very frequent basis. Allison never complained about that. She always took care of me, like I said. Had a rib thing that got messed up. She did everything she could to help me during that. Also, in about a month, I started working as a police officer right outside of Indianapolis. And I'm very thankful Allison has supported me in going after this job. I know that can be stressful to have a husband who's an officer, but she's done nothing but support me through that endeavor. Finally, to my mom and dad. My parents have come to every single game going back to my freshman year when my only job was to send in dummy signals from the sideline. First game I ever went to was in Charleston, West Virginia. And like I said, my only job was to signal in plays, but they were not the plays. They were the fake plays. They came all the way out there and watched me through that, and they drove everywhere from West Virginia to St. Louis. In high school, I played all 3 sports, basketball, football, and baseball, and they came to every single game of my high school career. I do not remember a game where I have played in my entire career where they have not been there. They have set a great example of what parents are supposed to be like, and they have raised me the right way, and I'm very thankful for everything they've given me. I feel prepared to enter the next phase of my life with Allison because of the example that was set by them in my house. Thank you to everybody, coaching staff, Coach Willis, Coach Dutton, Coach Stokes, Coach Day, Coach Potier. They've all been here. They've helped me. Nothing I would have been able to do over the last 4 years would have happened without everybody I mentioned.
The last player I have the pleasure to talk